The Broken Script, a tale of trickery, horror, and bizarre events happening to a group of teenagers logging in to play Minecraft together. What was supposed to be a fun Minecraft playthrough began to morph into something sinister, something that would drastically change the lives of those who were unfortunate enough to play the entity's game. A horrifying story showcasing strange anomalies who torment and morph the souls of those who come across their world. And now, we're tasked with seeking those anomalies and events to solve the mystery of what happened to those very same unfortunate souls. Will we succumb to the horrifying forces of the void? Or can we find a way to save the poor souls and rebel against the anomalies? Usually, I make videos explaining the lore of horror Sonics, so it might come as a surprise to some of my viewers I'm talking about a Minecraft mod that doesn't involve the bloody-eyed blue blur. But this Minecraft mod was so unnerving and fascinating, I had to make a video about it. I've loved Minecraft and horror for most of my life, and when you have a well-crafted mod such as this, I can't help but to be pulled to its mysteries. So in this video, I'm going to try my very best to uncover some mysteries about one of the best Minecraft horror mods I've ever played. If you're wanting to uncover the mysteries yourself, I advise you to do a couple of playthroughs before watching this video, as there will be a lot of spoilers and discussions of the story, and not knowing what half of these anomalies are is what makes this mod so terrifying. If you can understand it, it's less scary, so I really advise you guys do a couple of playthroughs, but if not, that's okay. Keep in mind, the story itself is still being released, and new things are bound to come up as time goes on. I may not be able to cover every detail of the story, as it's quite cryptic and vague, but by the end of this video, I hope to give you an idea as to what the Broken Script is, what it's about, and why I believe it's one of the best, if not the best, Minecraft horror mods to come out. I'll be giving my thoughts, theories, talking about the lore, and my personal playthroughs and events that happened, along with trying to explain the anomalies themselves. With that out of the way, allow me to set the scene for the mod where every playthrough is unique. The Broken Script is a mod made by Wendigo Drip and is categorized as an ARG horror. If you don't know what an ARG is, it's a mixing of real-world elements combined with another media, and in this case, it's a game. In both the game and in real life, things are said to have happened. You'll know the specifics soon enough. The general idea is this. Two clans make a Minecraft world and split it into two factions. Blackout's clan and XX Ram to Die XX clan. So we do have exact date and times, but I'm going to be a little vague on that aspect of it. There are written on the signs of World 2, there are things that says, oh, this is what happened on this day, but for the sake of it, I'm just going to say how things are and not give the exact dates. Blackout's clan consisted of Blackout, Overlord, and Catfish 12, while Ram to Die had Die XT 412 and Wire 4. It first starts early 2018 after the return of Zero Null Void Zero, finding a strange altar, a structure built from these strange blocks called Protected Void, appearing in the enchantment room. This was thought to be a prank from a server admin, though the structure itself made odd noises, caused lag, and made nearby mobs despawn entirely. Despite this very strange occurrence, Null Void pretty much ignored it and wanted to expand his clan, proposing the idea of a shared base. Everything was fine until mid-2018. Blackout went mining and never came back. His disappearance wasn't known for some time, but someone from the other clan, not sure as to who exactly, noticed that they had gone missing. Disorder grew as Blackout wouldn't play with them at all after this event. In October, an unknown player wanted to rent a room in what we call clan_build, which was the shared base Null Void wanted. Though, for some reason, this unidentified player didn't stay for too long and wanted to create their own base. This is believed to be Revuxor. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say his name right. It's pretty weird. It's said to be Revuxor. Sometime after, Null Void changed his name to XX Ram to Die XX. These two events likely aren't related, but you'll see why this name change is important to the lore a little later. November comes around, and somehow things get worse. For some unexplained reason, likely due to the influence of one of the entities, the chat feature would no longer work. I know at this point, we know who caused what to happen and what entity. But since I want to save the entities for their own segment or a little bit later in the video, I'm withholding that information until then and speaking like this from a storytelling perspective. So people who know the broken script, I need you guys to understand that. All right, cool, thank you. These strange occurrences happened, and these kids just assumed it was some kind of server glitch. Though, to further their weird behavior, the Discord server got deleted, so they couldn't communicate over text pretty much at all. Now without communication and their base completely stolen, things were already going downhill. This was just the start of the poor soul's torment. Ramp to Die was tasked to go get wood, but it was here the second death occurred. Now, I call it death, but Ramp to Die's case is a little different. Though the others had thought that he simply got bored of playing. Time had passed, and I'm not sure if the group decided to take a break from the game after this, but after about a year later, one of the Blackout Clan members finds something rather interesting. A protected void block, which interests him. The same year, Ramp to Die returns, but isn't the same person. An imposter pretending to be their friend. Considering they were happy to see him again and they could only talk through signs, there was no time to speculate or guess what had happened. They welcomed their leader back to the clan base after he explained it was just some family issues, falling further into deception. Another member around this time would develop a unique syndrome, one where he listened to Disc 13 over and over again, causing him to change. He couldn't talk in game, but it was clear his actions and behaviors were not his own. Their friend Wired tried reaching out, but was ignored at all turns. Now, if you don't know Disc 13, it was a very scary disc in-game that was unexplained. I remember hearing about it for the first time when I was playing base Minecraft by myself. It was baffled that it was in a game like this. I can imagine playing it on repeat, and in a way, it kind of reminds me of Lavender Town syndrome, where frequencies were rumored to influence a child's brain. But in this case, it could be that DieXD412 got curious about the disc, put it in, and an entity influenced it in a way. This is the point where Die isn't the same person anymore, but is now known as the entity Curved. A lot of this mod is speculation and theories, hence why sometimes I will say things like, it could be this, or it might be this. Some things are set in stone, like DieXD412 becoming curved. The nether portal room becomes corrupted. Strange blocks and ominous signs alluding to the betrayal and anger, though this was simply one event of many. A true turning point was the death of Robloxia. This was a confirmed death where an entity crawls out from the computer and takes their life. Robloxia is a bit of a mystery in the grand scheme of things, but if I had to say, much like the rest of them, I believe his soul is passed on into the server. I also believe he's one of the mobs who can whitelist you from the world and save you from this certain place called Null Torture. There are signs you can find guiding you to the right direction, and there is a soul who is still left. I believe it's them. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The baseline story of the broken script is understood, but many mysteries and events have yet to be explained. This mod blends horror and storytelling really well and nails the feeling of paranoia. The feeling of sympathy or compassion will be held against you in this mod, as your sense of trust can lead to death. What part we play to the story isn't known, but I like to think that this doesn't happen by chance, that we are all actively investigating what happened to the clan world and how we can help. Null is a character that joins the game, emulating that of a server, even though this is a single player mod. The questions you can ask him are a select few, one of them being, how can I help you? As if to signify we're here to help. Speaking of Null, I think it's about time we talk about him, along with the other entities in this mod and what role they played in the events that happened, and what they will do to you now. The anomalies are what make this mod, and what is the most interesting part about it. This video will be focused on the newest update, not any old creatures that were removed. I might make a few exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, only entities in the 1.10 update will be talked about. It's also worth mentioning that the moon plays an important role in the events that happen, and also some pretty strange things can happen. These are 16 phases, or events that will happen as time goes on. There is Corruption 1 process and a Corruption 2 process. During phase 1, the moon will be infected by the void. First the corner, then it breaks apart, and by the third phase you could barely see it. By the 4th phase, it will have a web of black tendrils and only gets worse from there. By phase 6, there's nothing left in the sky, just the stars, and if you try to sleep, you might get a pop-up in chat saying error. The moon. By phase 7 and 8, the moon is aggressively corrupted. On the wiki, it states that it might resemble the eyes of integrity and the broken end, which might make sense as they're always watching you. It's here entities have a higher chance to spawn, or rather, it gives room for them to spawn. Let's go over who these odd entities are, starting with one of the most important characters and interesting ones to the story, Null. Null was one of the things that really got me interested in the mod, as he is one of the only guaranteed events to happen. This soul will join every single player world you're in, and he's kind of treated as a player considering it says he joined the game. After he joins, he just kind of watches you. This is where that name change comes into play. After XX rammed to die, XX was killed, their soul was fragmented into different entities throughout the mod, and Null is one part of them. Mob is missing ID, as he's also called, is one of the 2 entities who could talk to the player. The fragment of his former self seems to hate his other variant, almost as if he's angry at who he used to be or what he did. Typing his old username in chat can, or at least did, get you kicked from the world, or at the very least sends this guy into his aggressive state. There's a reputation system that may or may not be broken, but if it's bad, Null is more prone to attack, and if it's normal, he just mostly watches you. Here's a list of all the things you could say to Null currently. I've tested all these and they're accurate for the most part. A few things I've noticed. Typing friend, ? In chat usually gets you struck by lightning, or he chases you down and kills you. Null isn't exactly friendly to the player, but there are some situations that make this confusing. If you build a base and leave for a while, when you come back here, there might be a sign that says nice base. And no matter what I did, I could not get this to happen, but I know it does. Null might even give you diamonds in a chest and a note saying a gift. In my opinion, I don't think Null is fully evil. It's clear in some ways he doesn't want you there. But if he has the power to kick you from the game, why doesn't he just do it right away? There are events that can happen that tell you to keep playing, likely from the other entities who want to kill you, but Null might be torn because if you ask him what he wants, he says freedom. Could it be that he's keeping us around, holding on to a little bit of hope? We can't say what his motives are for sure, but I do think he's just a scared kid with a fragmented soul and he's lost. Though, don't outright ask him to be your friend, because again, he'll strike you with lightning, so that doesn't work. Saying Revuxor in chat, Null responds with poor soul. Null is showing empathy, understanding that Revuxor is a victim. And you can run into him, but we'll get to that. The next entity I want to talk about is Circuit, the one who caused a lot of chaos in the server. The entity caused the death of Robloxia crawling out of the computer screen and into the real world, mauling them alive. Not only that, but Circuit was the one to take the appearance of Ram to die and infiltrate the bait to cause further corruption. This can disguise itself in-game as a villager with the name Testificate, or a creeper or pig. Killing it will likely cause it to spawn. You'll notice it bears a resemblance to others in the mod, specifically the Broken End and Integrity. These 3 entities are what cause the most amount of suffering, and it all starts with the one known as Integrity. While Circuit is at the bottom, Integrity is at the top of the food chain. It's said this thing spawns from deep below the bedrock. When you spawn beside a portal in World 2, it's important to note that World 2 is a hidden save file in the jar file of the mod, so you have to extract it, and putting it into your saves takes us to where everything happened, but before it was fully corrupted. You can even enter the realm Integrity was said to come from. I spent a couple of hours trying to find anything in here, and I could say the results were not great. The only thing I found were these blocks where you could type something and you'd get a response. One thing I typed was null, and when I did, it said outside, which is pretty spooky. But when I exited out, I received a book with error written in it, but the name of it was called Null. Pretty weird, but aside from that, I couldn't get much else in this area. I tried to explore all aspects of the world, trying different versions and seeing where I could find. Can't say I found much, unfortunately. In some of my other playthroughs, I tried to look for structures I had heard about from the wiki. One in particular was the clan base after events had occurred that could spawn naturally in-game, And that one in particular, I was wanting to find, but I came up short. I can only find videos of it existing. It was here we could get a better idea as to how things played out. That aside, I want to talk about the other entities in the mod, as they represent what became of the poor souls before. Robloxia is very rarely seen, but can appear for a fraction of a second, then they'll ban you from the game. Rev may just be the nicest entity in the game, as he's banning you to protect you from the creatures of the void. Rev was a victim to Circuit, but it seems like instead of fracturing his soul, he was just put in as one being. The other souls didn't get so lucky, if you can call it that. Someone like Curved or Hetzer have it a bit more rough. Curved, as said before, is Die XD 412, corrupted by listening to Disc 13 on repeat, eventually becoming the entity we see. Curved can spawn after having an encounter with Circuit, and can kill you in one hit. Though, interestingly enough, you have the ability to kill him, and according to the wiki, he will drop a bunch of stuff. He will also leave the game, which makes me wonder if we freed his soul or if we caused more of a problem. Another entity I want to quickly bring up is Far Away, as it doesn't actually harm the player and may be the most mysterious thing here. It just observes the player from a distance, but that's not why it's interesting. The World 2 icon is a screenshot through Far Away's perspective. What does this mean? I had a theory that this is you from the future. Why did I think that? I genuinely don't know, but in a story like this, anything is possible, really. Hetzer, or formerly known as Blackout, is an entity that was killed by, surprise, surprise, Circuit. There isn't much to say about this aside from the fact that its behavior is a little odd. The way it moves and the way it looks and the way it reacts when you get close is different. It can either turn into a creeper or turn into Circuit and chase you. It's a bit strange though, because it was killed by Circuit. Why does it take Hetzer's place? Could it be that they're a sort of hive mind entity? Things killed by Circuit give it more power. Or was Hetzer just bait? Either way, it's still sad to see him this way, as it just seems glitchy and almost confused. Okay, back to Null. On to our next entity. Null's soul was split apart. Rammed to Die is his own entity and acts separately to Null. As we know, Null seems to hate that side of himself. By breaking a hello block, Rammed to Die might end up joining the world, and he will say 4 things in hexadecimal. Hello? How did you found this world? Do you want to be friends? And then he sends a mixed signal by saying, leave. Now, he might just leave the game after this, or if you approach him, it's documented 2 things will happen. The likely option is that he becomes Null. The second is he will ban you. I think this part of his soul doesn't want you to be here and stops Null from getting you. I do think that Null isn't an evil entity necessarily. After all, he's a victim, but his actions might contradict that and doesn't always ban you from the game. My theory is he wants to help them, but he knows what is going to happen. Null answers your questions if you ask. He's the only one that can directly answer you. I think it's Null that writes nice space when you leave your home long enough, and I think that shows some conflict in his character. Now, the 2 main entities, the Broken End and Integrity, have a goal. The Broken End sets in motion the plans of Integrity, as it's believed that Integrity is the one pulling a William Afton. He doesn't have rhyme or reason to do this, but he does it because he can. He gives those who interact with him a new vessel simply because he can. The Broken End simply helps enforce this, and there's a good chance that everyone in the mod was a human before except for Integrity. But that's mostly just a theory, as other beings could be born from the void. Another theory I wanted to propose is Null Void had more involvement with this than he leads on, and here's my reasoning. I think Null made a deal with Integrity, and maybe Integrity manipulated Null in a way, or he knew all along. I think Rammed to Die wanted to play in the server forever, never wanting to grow up. Whether he knew the extent of what would happen, I'm not sure on, but he seems to hate himself. Typing Rammed to Die clearly upsets Null, but this was a part of him, a side of him who likes to make friends and clings to them. So in order to keep them playing together, he did something, causing pure hatred to a piece of himself. There are a few holes to this, as Integrity is able to join regardless of manipulation. This is after recording, but I also wanted to focus on the name ram to die, it could have like a symbolism to like lambs to slaughter. And I was thinking about this because it used to be null void. And what's talked about a lot is, and I could be really reaching here, the void. His name is literally null void. Entity spawned from the void. His name changes to XX ram to die XX, which could very well be some sort of like weird deal was struck and he changed his name as to maybe like warn them of what was coming. I honestly don't have any idea, but I just thought that this was worth noting. Or maybe it just means nothing and they really did change their name. He's just the only one that's changed his name. So I think that there might be something there. But I thought it was an interesting theory. There is a lot to this Minecraft mod, and I haven't even got to the videos. Each entity has purpose, and more mysteries are being uncovered every day. But that's all I'm going to do in this video. I don't know how well it will do, but I had a lot of fun researching things, and I know I still missed a lot. Let me know down in the comments below what it might be. And remember, stay freaky.